Hello all, I'd like to give you another update with respect to my build, and also I'm going to talk to you about 3D printing. So I guess the first thing I want to give you an update is weight. So I got this weighed the other day, pretty much in full road registered trim with fluids such as water, oil, and a little bit of fuel. It's come in bang on at 400 kilos. So uh, while I would like it to start with a 3, that is a good start. So what I want to talk to you today is about 3D printing parts. But before we go into that, I just want to show you all the dash. So this is something that we didn't get to see in the previous video I did. So this is the chin guard we have sitting across the front, which is a requirement for our registration. Here in Australia, we have the clocks, and then we have a custom dash pad here, which I'll talk to you in more detail when I talk about 3D printing. So what I'll do is I'll take the cover off now, and I will go through 3D printing as used in a custom vehicle. Okay, now with the cover off, I'm just going to go through and discuss, I guess, the 3D printed items that are on this car, the material I've chosen to 3D print, and the reasons for that. So we'll start at the front. So right at the front, front indicator mounts. So these are a 3D printed part, and the cable runs through those. And then inboard we have the mounts that hold this tube on the chassis. They're also 3D printed, and a little cable transfer that takes the cables from the indicator, has the connectors in and goes into that little box. I'll just touch on quickly the material. So I'm printing with Spectrum 275 ASA, which is a very nice material, and I'll talk to you more about that material as we go back through the car. So little things such as these little hose clamps, then little 3D printed parts, brake line mounts, they're 3D printed. You'll notice here I've got a turnbuckle and a 3D printed part on the accelerator pedal. This is what I've been using to maintain a steady RPM when I've been doing my noise testing, I guess preliminary runs. So I can use that to hold a very steady pedal position, which is very critical for what I'm trying to do. As we move back through the car, one of the things we've got here is a 3D printed clocks mount, or combi mount you could call it, that sits in there. One of the other things I've gotten here, which I've probably touched on in a previous video, is a 3D printed unit that is mounted to the boss to help with I guess self-cancelling of the indicators. So I'll just run that through there. Yep. Now here is, I guess, another print of the part that sits behind the boss. So this sits in between the boss and the steering column, and this matches the profile of the clock. The clock spring arrangement that makes for the self-cancelling function. So I've been able to incorporate that design into the steering system. As we look to the middle of the car, we have, I guess, the center console, or what we're calling the center console / cable run arrangement. We have the system that holds all the switches and buttons. That's all 3D printed. Sorry about the lighting. The mounts for the warning sign, that's all 3D printed there. How this, I guess, cable run tube is held in is all 3D printed. So we have the mounts up the top, and we also have, I guess, the bottom mount system, which bolts onto the shifter. This enables me to hold the tube kind of in mid-air and then run the cables up through that. We also have, I guess, the gear, pattern indicator. It's one of the requirements we need for local registration. So that's 3D printed. Then we've got, I guess, the what you call probably a rigid gasket for the push-pull cable. That's also 3D printed for that. So as we move further back along the car, just some spacers here, 3D printed. This is one of the nice ones. So the rear light system, that's all 3D printed out of ASA. The good thing about the Spectrum ASA, or Spectrum 275 ASA, is that it is very sandable. So you can sand it back and get a really nice finish, which you can then paint and then really make it look really nice. A couple of other items back here. This is the reverse light for the rear. That is 3D printed as well. And then coming down, we've got our mounts for the indicators, not indicators, number plate light and number plate mounts, so they're all 3D printed and the number plate sits on top of that. So there's quite a few 3D printed parts. The good thing about using ASA in this application is that the UV stability of that material, so you can have it in these parts that do get direct sunlight, and it does maintain its integrity. So one of the things I want to touch on is this dash pad, which it's going to be a bit hard to see in this light, but this is I guess a two-part polyurethane self-expanding foam, and we created some molds. We 3D printed them and then injected it into the mold, and then produced this dash pad. Now, this is a requirement for our local registration, and it has to meet a certain density. So a bit of calculation with, I guess, working out the volume, working out the mass, we're able to hit our density targets for that quite nicely. So I guess that's a bit more of an overview of the car. If you've got any questions or you want to see anything else, please let me know, and I'll see if I can tailor a video to that. One thing I might do with my next video is touch on chassis construction. How was this made? How did I ensure the accuracy of the pickup points in relation to each other? I'll be able to do all that for you. But yeah, any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Thank you.